sarvamaya, and thus become equal to everything. So the total humility goes with total greatness, goes the total humility. He is a great because he always, so the greatness is because he never comes down in a way. That means he never gives up its glory. And therefore his position, status is always maintained. And still he can bend down to anything also. So greater one is more capacity, that is to bend down, really. Smaller one is less and less capacity to bend down, more and more stiffness. So stiffness, I don't mean the one sits like that. I mean the stiffness in terms of, in terms of the arrogance or ego or whatever. So anyway, that is by the way. So here, explaining this, Vartikara on the page 1013 said, Kim punasyat samanatvam atmabuddhyadi vastunah. When Shruti says tat samano bhavati, tat samanaha. So, samanasan. So, kim punasyat samanatvam atmabuddhyadi vastunah. Atma and buddhyadi vastu. Between them, so atma vastu and buddhyadi vastu, whatever. What is meant by samanatvam? Vivekatah ananubhavaha varaha uragavattayoho. So like not being able to distinguish one from the other. Varaha, we are able to distinguish a boar or hog from a snake, but not able to distinguish between the Atma and the Buddhi and others. Yattattayoho samanatvam rajju sarvadivat matam. And that samanatvam therefore is mithya, like the samanya of the rajju and sarva. Atma avidyaiva sambandha tasmat atmanah anatmana ishyate. Therefore, atmanah anatmana sambandha. This sambandha, this relationship or the samanatvam of the atma and anatma is only atma avidyaiva, only because of ignorance of the self. So self-ignorance becomes the cause for this samanatvam. What is samanatvam? Self-ignorance becomes the cause for lack of distinguishing the atma from anatma, that's all. So understand, samanatvam is inability to distinguish one from the other. That's all that is meant by samanatvam, or being equal or being similar. And that equality or similarity, that is the inability to distinguish atma from anatma, is purely due to ignorance. Atma avidyayava. That is, one takes the atma identified with buddhi or associated with buddhi or the personality is only because of ignorance. Akaraka svabhavasya paramarthatma vastunah avidya kalpiteva syat sangatihi khe asitadivat. Like khe asitadivat, like someone being equating the space with the color, or space with asita means malaita, with dirt or blackness or darkness. So how one identifies the equate space and darkness? Avidya kalpiteva syat, not knowing the nature of space, this is how one says that the sky has become blue or dark or whatever. Akarika, only because the space is not available for being polluted, that's all. So that is the nature of the space that cannot be polluted. Similarly, akaraka svabhavasya. Similarly, atma is the one that cannot take any role at all, akaraka. Cannot become an accessory, cannot become a participant. Paramarthat vastunah. That's the nature of the Paramartha vastu. So without participating, he supports everything. That's a wonderful thing also, that without participating in anything, he supports everything. Avidya kalpita eva sangati syat. And so, this is how the sangati is only out of ignorance. Then we were discussing this verse, we completed that yesterday. कूटस्थात्मचिदाभेस्य प्रत्यग्ध्वान्ते हि तद्भवैः विषयांतैर्भवेद्भ्रान्तिः सामानाधिकरण्यतः. The explanation of that verse was, of course, from the last line in the same page. तस्याः तथात्वेपि प्रतीचः बुद्ध्यादि समानत्वं कथं कल्पितम्. तस्याः tathatvepi. Even though the sangati or the association of the atma and anatma is kalpitam, or Ajnana Kalpitam. So here Ajnana Kalpita, the Sangati, Tathat Api Tathapi. Prateecha hai buddhyadi samanatvam katham kalpitam. Still, why do you think that the samanam, the oneness or identification of the Atma with the Buddhi is kalpitam? Why? Tatraha kutasthaiti. So they said, kutasthatma chidabhe. Explanation. So, they said, kutastha atma chidabhe. That is chidabhasa here. So, swajnane sabhase. Sabhasa is explanation of kutastha atma chit. Atma, that is kutastha, and chit, or the nature of consciousness, abha. Abha means abhasa. So, sabhase. That means the one that is possessed of the abhasa of the Atma. What is that? Pratyak dhvante. Dhvanta means darkness or ignorance. Pratyak means the Atma. So, Pratyak Dhvanta, so when the ignorance, self-ignorance, which gets enlivened by the presence of consciousness, because as I said, the real association is of the ignorance with not with the consciousness, but with the reflected consciousness. As I said yesterday, the association that I have with a mirror is really that my reflection is associated with the mirror. That is the prakriya. The idea is that how can these two entities which belong to the same, to altogether different class, like the light and darkness, how can they be ever associated? Only this way, that the image gets reflected in the mirror. And that's how with the mirror, the reflection can be associated. That's why the bimba, the image remains independent, and whatever be the distortions of the reflection, they do not in any way affect the image. That is why. So, swajnane sabhase nimitte. When there is self-ignorance that receives that reflected consciousness, so that being there, pratīcha tat karyehi manusyoham ityadi samanadhikaranyat. Now samanadhikaranyam is possible. Between that reflected consciousness, so first of all you can say that the consciousness gets reflected in ignorance. Even though we say in buddhi, but ignorance is even the cause of the buddhi, subtler than buddhi, therefore it is quite alright to say that. That is an inference, of course, that the consciousness first gets reflected in the ignorance. And through the agents of ignorance gets reflected in all the effects of ignorance. From ignorance, which is subtlest, the buddhi, then manaha, then indriyani, then deha. And that's how subsequent karya, mean effect of the ignorance. So, pratijah, tat karyehi, asya pati pratijah, tat karyehi, ajnana karyehi, or swajnana karyehi, samanadikaranyat, manusyoham ityadi samanadikaranyat. Then there is samanadikaran, manusyoham, I am manusya. Where aham stands for ahankara, chidavasa, and actually who is nothing but Atma, but still aham and manusya, chidavasa and manusya, which is the characteristic of the body, so that is samanadikaranyam. So bhranti can happen only when two things are in the same location, otherwise bhranti cannot happen. Even when we say that I am sarpaha, that I am belongs to the rope, that I am, that purovartitvam, something that is in front of me, that aspect is there, objectivity, is borrowed from the rope. So that enjoys the samanadikaranyam with the snake. You may say rope doesn't enjoy samanadikaranyam with the snake, but the I am asti. So iyam rajjuhu, this is the rajju, this is the rope. So this part of the rope enjoys samanadikaranyam with the snake. That is how bhranti is possible. Tadatmi bhranti tasmad yukta samanatvasya mithyada. That means the tadatmi is between chidabhasa and there is ahankara and the upadhi. That is why to think that there is a tadatmi of the Atma with upadhi is not right. This is mithya. Okay, let's see. Then the Tika continues. So on the page 1014, the second line, the tika is there. Adityadi alokasya नीलादि योगे तत्तत् आकार विकारवत् आत्म ज्योतिषोपि बुद्ध्यादि योगे विकारित्वम. A proposition here. Adityadi alokasya, like the light of Aditya, sun and other luminaries. Neeladi yoge, when there is an association with Neela, such as blue color, tattat akara vikaravat, how that light of the sun gets transformed into blue and the red and whatever color it limits. So, idea is that yoga or association of the sunlight or other light brings about a transformation in that light. That's the idea here. So, tat akara vikaravat, that light seems to assume the akara or the color of the object that is illumined. Atma jyotishobi buddhyadi yoga vikaritvam. Why not Atma Jyoti also, by illumining buddhyadi, buddhi, mana, etc., also becomes of that form? Jyotishtva avisheshat. Because it is the nature of the illuminator to assume the form of the illumined, just as the sunlight, and the Atma Jyoti, or the self-consciousness, that is self, also is the illuminator, Jyotishtva. That is also illuminator. So it is the nature of every illuminator to thus assume the form of the illumined. Then why not we say that Atma also assumes the form of the buddhyadi, that is illumines. Iti ashankyaha vikarinaha iti. The verse says, vikarinaha prakashasya neelaraktadi sangatehe neeladi vikriya yukta. Vikarinaha prakashasya. Now the illuminators are also of two kinds. That's what Vartikar has to say. One is illuminators such as all these sunlight and so forth, but they are vikari, they are subject to modification. But Atma is the illuminator which is nirvikara. So this is the important thing here. Vikarinaha prakashasya neelaraktadi sangate. So this prakasha that is vikari, when that gets associated with the colors such as blue and red, etc., Neeladi vikriya yukta, then its transformation as blue, red, etc. is okay because it is subject to being transformed. That's called vikari. Vikari means the one that is subject to vikara, whose nature it is to undergo vikara. Vikara means transformation. So one that is subject to transformation can get transformed when an appropriate condition arises. Parinamasya natu asau. But then asau means Atma Jyoti, or Atma is not Vikari, and that being the case, it cannot undergo transformation. Says the Tika at the back there, Katham aparinamatvam atmanah. Yukta aparinamasya it should be actually, So Yukta aparinamasya tu na asau. I think that's how it must be. But the one asau, so aparinamasya, the one that is not subject to parinama or transformation, so asau vikriya na yukta. This vikriya is not proper. Aparinamasya tu na asau. Aparinamasya atmanah or atma jyotisha. Asau vikriya na yukta. That's how to understand. But in as much as Atma Jyoti is free from any modification, not subject to modification, therefore any modification or transformation is not yukta. Then the Tika says, Katham aparinamatvam atmanah. How do you say that Atma is aparinamatvam atmanah? How do you say that Atma is not subject to any transformation or modification? Buddhyadi abhinnasya. Actually, so Atma is non-separate from the Buddhi. So just the question, when Atma is one with the Buddhi, how can you say that Atma is free from any parinama or transformation? Uchyate. Tatraha parinamo hi. मोहादेः चिदाभासः सदा इष्यते परिणामांतर प्राप्ति तस्यापीति न युज्यते परिणामो हि मोहादेः मोहादेः moha means ignorance. So ignorance, all of that does undergo transformation or change. Chidabhasa sada ishyate. What is chidabhasa? By chidabhasa is meant here chit abhasya or chidabhasa. So this parinama that is illumined by consciousness. Chidabhasa means parinama chidabhasa. Parinama or transformation that is of the parinama chidabhasa. That's the idea. Parinama, any transformation is illumined by, any change is illumined by the Atma, consciousness. Mohadehe parinama, the transformation, the change that takes place in ignorance and buddhi and everything else is chidabhasa, is that is illumined by consciousness. That is why alternate readings are there. Chidabhasya, illumined by consciousness, or chitabhasya, illumined by. So chita abhasya or chit abhasya. So in short, any parinama, any vikara is always illumined by consciousness. So vikara of the ignorance etc. that takes place, sada, is always ishyate, is desired that it is illumined by consciousness. Parinamantar prapti tasyapi tinavayujyate. And that also, even that chit also undergo the parinama is not possible. So the illuminator, that is Atma, that it undergo the parinama, na yujyate, is never proper. The Tikakar explains that. See, parinamo hi mohadehe chidabhasah sadaisya. That's being explained. Mohadehe means avidyayaha buddhyadescha. Mohadehe, moha means ignorance. Adi avidyayaha buddhyadescha. That is the explanation of mohadehe. Parinamaha. So parinamaha chidabhasa. That is explained. Parinamasya sada chidatma prakashyatva. So all the transformation or changes that take place in ignorance and buddhi etc., all of them are always illumined by, so chidatma, by the atma, that is consciousness. Tasya parinama vishesha prapti yukta, and then parinama tasyabi parinamantar prapti na yujyate. So says here, tasya. Tasya is what? Chidatma prakashasya. Parinama vishesha prapti ayukta. To say that the Chidatma also undergo the parinama is not right. Sakshina sakshyatva anupattehe. The idea is parinama is always sakshya. Any change is always sakshya, means that is always seen, perceived, objectified or witnessed. So you would know a change only when there is a witness of that change. Sada ishyate. Without witness, any change, no change can be ever noted or known without the witness. And if the witness also has to undergo change, then the witness also has to come in the category of witnessed, because change must be witnessed. So, if Atma has to undergo a change, then Atma also must fall in the category of sakshya or witness. Then alone the change can be perceived. So, sakshina sakshyatva anupattehe. That sakshi has to become sakshya. The witness must become witnessed. Then alone the change is possible. Otherwise change cannot be. But the witness cannot become witnessed. Tat asau kutastha eva ityartha. Tat means tasmad. Therefore, asau atma chaitanyam or whatever. Atma chaitanya prakasha kutastha eva. Therefore, it is only kutastha, changeless. Then Tika continues, Swaprakashasyapi savituhu surupitvavat parinama sakshinopi parinamitvam. Again a question. Swaprakashasyapi savituhu. Oh, okay. Rupa prakashakasyapi savituhu. That makes more sense. So Rupa Prakashakasyavi Savitu. Savita means sun. So Rupa Prakashaka. So sun, Rupa means light, a color. So Savita means the sun that illumines the color. Savituhu. Rupitvavata. Parinama Sakshanopi Parinamitvam. So the sun that illumines the color. It is not that. Once the idea gets fixed in the mind that Visva, you will read it always as Sva. Any number of times you read that. So, Rupa Prakashakasyapi Savituhu Rupitvavata. See, Savita, the sun, that illumines the colors, also is illumined, It also has a Rupa. It also has a form. So, Rupitvat Parinama Sakshanovi Parinamitvam. One of the one that illumines Parinama also has Parinama. The sun that illumines all the colors also has a form. So why not Atma that illumines all the changes also has changes? Iti ashangyaha sukhi iti. Sukhi dukkhitva sakshitvam dusthitam syat tatha sadi. Tatha sadi. If Atma has the Parinama, Atma becomes a Parinami or subject to change, Sukha Dukkhitva Sakshitvam Dusthitam Syad. Then Atma cannot become the Sakshi of Sukha Dukkha. Then Sakshi of the Sukha must be Sukhi also, must also have Sukha. Sakshi of Dukkha also must have Dukkha. That's what will happen. If you say that the Sakshi also has the same kind of characteristics as that which it illumines, then Atma illumines Sukha, Dukkha and all of that, then Atma also becomes Sukhi Dukhi. Sukhadi Anugama Tasya. What happens? Anugama means what? It follows. That means the Sukha Vritti takes place, Atma becomes the Sakshi of the Sukha, himself becomes Sukhi. Dukkha Vritti takes place, Atma becomes Sakshi of Dukkha, himself becomes Dukhi. That is what? If you say that the Rupa Prakashaka sun has Rupitvam, has also form, and similarly Atma also must have Parinama. What Parinama? Sukha is the Parinama, Dukkha is the Parinama, and illumining all the Parinama changes, the illuminator also changes. Sukhadi Anugamat. So when it concurs with Sukha Dukkha, Tasya Vyatirekaha Sudurlabhaha, then the distinguishing the Atma from Sukha Dukkha would be impossible. So Dausthye Hetuhu Tathayati. So Dusthita, that means the Sukha Dukkhitva Sakshitvam Dusthitam Syat Tathasati. The Sakshitvam would not be possible. Why? So Tathasati. Tatha means what? Dukkhitva Dosati Tathasati. If Atma also becomes Dukhi and Sukhi, etc. Tas Sankarya, then mixed up. Sankarya means getting mixed up. Atma also becomes Dukhi, and therefore gets totally one or mixed up with Sukha Dukkha. Atmana Sakshyad Dukkhadehe Bhedah Durjnana. Then Dukkha is what? Sakshyam. Atma is Sakshi. The only way to know the difference between Sakshi and Sakshi is that Sakshi is different from Sakshya. Sakshi's characteristics are different from Sakshya. Otherwise, he is no more a Sakshi. But however, if the Sakshi, Atma that is Sakshi also becomes Dukhi, then Sakshi is also Dukkha and Sakshi also is Dukhi. That means both of them have the same kind of nature or characteristic. Then you cannot distinguish one from the other. And so, suppose the doctor, looks at the patient and starts weeping or something like that, suppose. Then you don't know who is the doctor. Patient, you can understand that weeps or cries or whatever it is. And doctor also starts crying. Then it becomes difficult when non-looker comes, somebody comes, Trahit fellow comes, some outside. So who is the doctor here, Because the witness of Dukhi or the doctor of Dukkha becomes Dukhi also. So doctor is the one who maintains his composure. Even though he may feel inside, and I hope that he feels inside, Then nobody can be a good doctor anyway. But then, he may feel inside and still he is trained. He is trained, I think they are trained to feel also, when they go to medical school, they must be, or at least they're exposed so much to the pain that they may start feeling. But then they're trained to remain composed in the midst of all the pain and then the screaming or all kinds of chaos that will be going on. Then you know that he is a doctor. And then alone he can inspire confidence in you. Otherwise doctor cannot inspire confidence. And so anyway, similarly also to distinguish Atma from the Anatma. And so Atma must be free from the Sukha Dukkhitvam, then alone he can be distinguished as a witness. If he is also characterized by Sukha Dukkha, then he loses the status of witness, and therefore Sakshat Dukkhadehe Atmanah Bhedah Durjnanah Sudurlabha says. Sushtu Durlabha Dukkhena Labhya Sushtu Dukkhena Labhya means Durjnanah. And thus to distinguish Atma from the Anatma would not be possible at all. Nacha ekatve tad bhava. Ekatva means what? If Sakshi and Sakshya, both of them become one, tad bhava, Sakshi bhava. Then the Sakshitva bhava cannot be. Atma cannot remain Sakshi if it becomes one with the Sakshya. Virodhat. Because there is the Virodha. Both of them are supposed to be contrary to each other. Or Virodha means what? The Sakshi also is Sakshya. That is a Virodha. Sakshi and Sakshya cannot obtain in the same thing. Either Sakshi is Sakshi, Sakshya is Sakshya. If Sakshi is like Sakshya, then in that means they are one, then the Sakshitvam is not possible because that is Sakshitvam also and there is non-difference. That is Viruddham. So Virodha. Drishtantastu Pratyakshatvat Aviruddha. But how about our Drishtanta? The sun is a Drishtanta. It also has a color or form. So that is, we don't care for that. I mean, we accept it. That is Drishtanta is all right. That the sun, even though it only means color or it only means forms, it has a form, that's okay. But that doesn't mean that rule is applicable everywhere, But he did it, so he may have done it, so what, They always do like that. They may do like that, so what, So general rules are there, they're not always applicable everywhere. The thing is that the difference between the Sakshi that is sun and Sakshi that is Atma is an Upadhi. Upadhi means there is a distinguishing factor. The sun also is Sakshi and Atma is also Sakshi, but sun is Indriya Gochara, is Pratyaksha. Atma is Indriya Agochara, Atindriya. Therefore Atma, even though Sakshi being Atindriya, does not follow every characteristic of sun because he is Indriya or Indriya Gochara. Therefore Drishtantastu Pratyakshatvat Aviruddha. And so your Drishtanta is okay. Nachatra Vikriyavatve Manam Atra Atmane. In Atma, there is Vikriya in the Atma, there is no Pramana. That the sun has a Rupitva. That also is, after all, so actually what we see sun also because certain kind of a transformation takes place there also, that's why we see. The sunlight, if this was the color of the sun, we would not have seen it. But because of various changes taking place in the atmosphere and whatever it is, therefore the sun becomes visible to us. But anyway, whatever it is, we accept for the time being, even that also would be difficult to accept. The illuminate of the color cannot have color. But anyway, so sun is the illuminate of all the colors. So it doesn't have a color of its own. And still it looks red in the morning and red in the evening. That is not its color. That's a color that is superimposed on it on account of the transformations taking place in the medium, But anyway, so poor fellows, lot of examples would be shot down, by other kind of information or knowledge that we have. But still, these examples they are fine. So very nice point is made here. Pratyakshatvad aviruddha drishtantaha. Sun is a drishtanta, is okay. We accept it. But it's pratyaksha, indriya gocharaha, whereas Atma is atindriya. Nachatra vikriyavatve manam. There is no pramanam that Atma undergoes a change because Atma is Atindriya. See, you can determine something undergoing change only when that thing is the object of your perception. Otherwise, how can you? Or object of your, at least you can objectify it. Inasmuch as Atma cannot be objectified, therefore, that Atma is Vikriya or trans change cannot be determined. There is no evidence of it. So again, Tasmad Yuktam Avikriyatvam Ityartha. Therefore, it is quite proper that Atma is Avikriya, changeless. Then Tika continues. Avikriyatvepi, all right, Atma is Avikriya, is Kutastha, is changeless, not availed, subject to transformation. Kutona Dukkhadimatva, still how can it, why should he not be Dukkhi? He is changeless, all right, but still he can be Dukkhi, why not? Changeless Dukkhi, or changelessly Dukkhi you can say. That also is possible. So Kutona Dukkhadimatvam. So why not that Atma also can be possessed of Dukkhadi? Yoyam Vijnanamaya Praneshu Hrudyantar Jyotif Purushah Sasamanas Lokavanu Sancharate Dhyayativa Lelayativa Sahi Swapno Bhutvemam Lokamatikkramate Mritya Rupani Sah Samanasan. This was explained. Being similar to or equal to the mind, Ubholoko Anusancharati. What is meant by being equal to the mind is being identified with the mind. Equality is not that the Atma gets transformed to become the mind, but that due to ignorance that kind of association or identification takes place, and that is what is meant by Sah Samanasan, being equal. There is no real transformation. Not only there is no transformation of Parinami in Atma, in fact there is no such thing as transformation anywhere. This is what the Vartikara also explained. Now going to page 1015. On the page 114 also, in the towards conclusion, it was said, Tatha buddhim avhasayan buddhidvarane kritsnam kshetram avhasayati yuktam. Just illumining the buddhi and leavening the buddhi, let us say. So, giving chetanada to the buddhi, through that, through the agency of the buddhi, then the self illumines and leavens the whole personality, including, in fact, the whole world. Krishnam kshetram avhasayati yuktam markatamani darshanena, by the illustration of emerald, tena sarvena samanaha. That is how buddhidvarena, buddhi samanya dvarena. So buddhi is again samanya at their level of personality. Buddhi is present in the mind, in a way in the sense organs, everywhere, even in the body, everywhere the buddhi is there. Even in illumining the objects also, buddhi is also there. In that sense, Atma, identified as the buddhi, is everywhere. Tena sarvena samanaha buddhi samanya dvarena. So the dvara, the gates, so the agents of the buddhi, how Atma becomes identified with everything. Sarvamaya iti ataheva vakshati. This is the Vakya Shesha. Atmana sarvena samanatve Vakya Shesham anukulayati. Subsequently it will be said in the next passage, or I think next Brahmana, it will be said, how sarvamaya iti ataheva vakshati. So sarvasamattvadeva, because he is equal to all, therefore sarvamaya, he is everything, or he is identified with everything. Iti cha ataheva vakshati. Because of this reason alone, Shruti will say that becoming is not a process, becoming is a product, becoming an appearance. So an appearance generated due to ignorance. Understand, this is all ignorance also being explained. Ignorance is a technical concept, so we understand the dimensions of ignorance. how it is not merely absence of knowledge, but more importantly, there is Vikshepa Shakti. It creates the Brahma or the delusion of something which is not there. Now, continuing with page 1015, Vakya Shesha Siddhyarthe Loka Bhrantehe Gamakatvam Aha. Vakya Shesha Siddhyarthe Sarvamaya iti cha ataheyo Sarvamaya iti. So, what will be stated subsequently in the 4.4.5, so in the next Brahmana, Vakya Shesha Siddhe Arthe. How Atma or how Atma Jyoti becomes one with all, identified with everything. That is Artha, that is the meaning that is established by the Vakya, Shesha means this other Vakya, Sarvamaya iti. Loka Bhrantehe Gamakattvamaha. And how, because of that, the Loka Bhranti also. The Loka Bhranti also tells us that Atma has become everything. So that is what creates Loka Bhranti. Inasmuch as Atma has become equal to everything. Atma illumines everything, that way pervades everything and therefore becomes equal to everything. As was said yesterday, the illuminator becomes equal to the illumined inasmuch as it is not possible to distinguish between the illumined and the illuminator. In that sense, Atma is illuminator of everything, but then seems to take the form of what is illumined, and therefore that we are not able to distinguish between the Atma and Anatma, the illuminator and illumined. And that the inability to distinguish creates all the Bhranti. So Loka Bhrantehe Gamakattvamaha. How Loka Bhranti becomes Gamaka. How it becomes something that leads us to also establish, so also to concur rather or confirm that yes, Atma has become everything. Because that is why Bhranti is there. That one thing has become something else, or one thing appears as something else, and this is what creates the Bhranti. Tena iti. Bhashya says, Tena asau kutaschid pravibhajya munjeshi kavata svena jyoti rupena darshaitum na shakyate ide sarvavyaparam tatra adhyaropya namarupagatam jyotirdharmam cha namarupayoho namarupe cha atmajyotishe sarvo lokah momuhyate ayamatma nayamatma evam dharma na evam dharma karta akarta शुद्धः अशुद्धः बद्धः मुक्तः स्थितः गतः आगतः अस्ति नास्ति इत्यादि विकल्पैः लोक भ्रांति, so much भ्रांति obtains about Atma in people in general. Tena, so Tena means what? Sarvamaya Tvena iti avata. On account of his being Sarvamaya, being identified with Sarva, with everything. So means Atma, this self, Kutaschid, footnote number 2, Buddhyadi Anatmabhya Kutaschid, fifth case. So from Anatma, beginning from Buddhi, Pravibhajya, therefore it is not possible for one to be able to separate the Atma from the Anatma. Only because both of them look alike, that is why. Or both of them have become one, like Taptaya Pindavat, like the fire and the iron, so they have become merged into each other. So each one pervades the other, and therefore there is no distinction, there is no apparent distinction between the two. And therefore, Kutaschit Pravibhajya. Therefore it is not possible for people to distinguish the Atma from the Anatma. Munje Shikavata. Like the stalk of grass from its sheath, So how it is difficult that the stalk of grass, it's not possible, like we are able to remove that stalk of grass from the sheet by removing them, like that it is not possible for people to be able to distinguish the Atma from the Anatma. Svena jyoti rupena darshaitum na shakyate. That Atma is known all right, but Atma is in its own nature. The own nature of Atma is Jyoti Rupa hai. So that Atma is the nature of Jyoti, the illuminator, of the nature of consciousness. That is Swam Rupam, that is its own nature of Atma. In that way it is not possible for anybody to be able to distinguish the Atma from the Anatma. iti hetoho, because of that reason. Sarva vyaparam tatra dhyaropya. So everybody superimposes the vyapara. Now Atma and Anatma. So illuminator and illumined. So here it is Atma Jyotihi and Buddhi. So vyapara is all carried out by Buddhi. All the vyapara, all the activities all belong to the Buddhi, meaning Anatma. Sarva vyaparam tatra dhyaropya. And so all the characteristics of the Anatma is superimposed upon the Atma because they are both in one place. So Nam Rupa Kadam Sarva Vyaparam Tatra Dhyaropi, all the Vyapara that belongs to Nam Rupa, all of that is superimposed upon the Atma. In this case, Vyapara belongs to the Upadhi, and that is superimposed upon the Atma. Prakruteh Kriyamanani Gunahi Karmani Sarvashaha Ahankar Vimudhatma Kartaham Iti Manyate. So Prakruteh Gunahi, from the Vikara of the Prakriti Sattva Rajas Tamas, from which Vikara, the modifications, the Upadhi is composed, Guna is Kriyamanani, Sarvani, Karmani. It is by the Upadhi that all the actions, all kinds of activities are performed. Or any activity of any nature is performed only at the level of Upadhi. Ahankar Vimudhatma. But identifying with that, Karta Aham, I am Karta, this is how, that I am the doer, I am the agent of doing, this is how Bhranti arises in everybody. So Nama Rupa Gadam Sarva Vyaparam Tatra Dhyaropya. Superimposing on the Atma all the Vyapara activities that belong to Nam Rupa. Jyotir Dharmam cha Nam Rupayoho. And Jyotir Dharma, which is consciousness, all the truthfulness, the reality. Also understand that Atma is real, Nam Rupa is unreal. The reason why the Nam Rupa, the world is taken to be real, is because the reality which belongs to Atma is superimposed upon the Jagat. That's why Jagat appears to be real. Like the snake appears to be real because the reality of the rope is superimposed upon the snake. That's how the mutual superimposition. The characteristics of snake are superimposed upon the rope. At the same time, the reality of the rope is superimposed upon the snake, and that is why the snake is taken to be real. If that was not done, then we would have known that this is just an appearance of snake. So sometimes, like the mirage water, the animals will superimpose the reality of the desert also to mirage water and take the mirage water to be real. No, you and I will see the mirage water all right, but still we will not impose the characteristic of the desert. The reality is not superimposed upon the mirage water. Therefore, mirage water is appreciated as an appearance. So Pratit is there, but the Adhyaropa is not there. This is also important. And so Jyotir Dharmam cha Nam Rupayoho Adhyaropya, the consciousness which is the dharma of the Jyoti is superimposed upon the body and the mind, and they are taken to be Atma. So Asti Bhati Priya, that's the dharma of the Jyoti. So Astitva, the reality, means Astitva, that Sat means actually non-negatibility. Chit means consciousness or self-effulgence. Chit means self-effulgence. And Ananda means fullness. So non-negatibility, self-effulgence, fullness, all of this is inadvertently superimposed upon the Anatma, upon the Upadhi. That's why the body is so dear. Atma is dear. But that Anandatvam or Priyatvam of the Atma is superimposed upon the body and upon the mind, upon the ego, and therefore they become so dear. And then upon everything connected to that also. And so house also becomes dear and whatever. But all that Priyatvam ultimately belongs to Atma. And also Satyatvam, the truthfulness, that this will always be there. The delusion that I will never die, I am always there. Nobody ever thinks of one's own death, etc. So we see it everywhere and somehow we don't include that ourselves in that. And somehow that immortality that belongs to Atma is inadvertently superimposed upon the body. And we just take things for granted. So this is how Jyoti Dharmam cha Nama Rupayoho Adhyaropya. Says Anandagiri, Atma Anatmanoho Viveka Darshanasya Ashakyatve. The Viveka Darshanam, Viveka here means the separation. Thus not being able to separately see the Atma from the Anatma, Ashakyatve. Footnote number 13, Sati, Ashakyatve Sati, that's Sati Saptami. Paraspara Adhyasa, therefore Paraspara Adhyasa. Mutual superimposition. Superimposing one upon the other, another upon the one. Tad dharma adhyasascha. So two kinds of adhyasa are there. Two levels of adhyasa is there. One is called arthadhyasa, other is called dharmadhyasa. Artha means one thing being superimposed upon the other, and dharmadhyasa means the dharma of the one being superimposed upon the other. So taking the rope Atma upon Anatma, or Dharma of the Anatma upon Atma will be Dharmadhyasa. Like all the Dukkhitvam, Martyatvam, Jadatvam. So, all of this of the belonging to the Anatma being superimposed upon the Atma. That's the Dharmadhyasa. And also the Asti, Bhati, Priya, which are, let's say, Dharma of the Atma, superimposing the upon Anatma. This is Dharmadhyasa. So taking the body to be Atma, this is called Arthadhyasa. Atmatvam is superimposed. And taking body to be conscious, body to be dear, and body to be whatever, so that is the Dharma of the Atma being superimposed upon the body. So Arthadhyasa and Dharmadhyasa. Similarly also, of course, nobody takes Atma to be Anatma. But the dharma of the anatma are all superimposed upon the atma, that dharma adhyasa is there. So paraspara adhyasa, tad dharma adhyasascha, Anandagiri says, and also the superimposition upon the each other's dharma upon each other. Syat, tatascha, ubhay adhyasat, because of this mutual superimposition, lokana moho bhave, that is why the delusion of the people obtains. Iti sarva vyaparam. Okay, so going back to Bhashya, Jyotir dharmam cha nam rupayoho nam rupe cha atma jyotishi. This is arthadhyasa. See, nam rupakatam sarva vyaparam tatra atma adhyaropya, and Jyotir dharmam cha nam rupayoho adhyaropya, this is dharmadhyasa. Nam rupe cha atma jyotishi. And footnote number 4 says, atma jyotishascha anatma nam rupayoho iti chartha. So superimposing name and form upon atma and superimposing atma upon name and form. The idea is that superimposing atmatvam, the selfness upon this body mind, is the superimposing atma upon anatma. And then taking the Atma as separate from me. Taking Brahman as separate from me, let us say. That separation. Also, that whole idea of Ishvara being separate from me is nothing but superimposing the separateness of the world upon Ishvara also. So that way also Arthadhyasa, the separation is superimposed. So sarvo lokaha momukhyate. So momukhyate. Atishayena mukhyate, or punah mukhyate. Again and again get deluded, or where they get deluded, strongly get deluded. This delusion is a very, very intense delusion. They get intensely deluded, not ordinary delusion that can be shaken off. That means this is entered into the core of one's personality. That core personality is nothing but delusion. It has entered into the core. It has become aparoksha. And that is why aparoksha jnana is required to remove this delusion. Any other kind of knowledge doesn't work. cannot shake up, shake it off. And so mumukhyate. Then says Annagiri, dharmi vishayam moham abhinayati. Dharmi vishayam moham. How dharmi or artha? Dharmi adhyasa or artha adhyasa? Moham, sandeham here of course, abhinayati. Abhinayati means demonstrated such and such. Abhinayati. So not only Bhashyakara says there is moha, but what is this moha? In what form does the moha take place? That also Bhashyakara says, and says in rather detail, So, moham abhinayati, I am Atma, na I am Atma. This is self, and this is not the self. That's how. Dharma vishaya moham darshayati. Now this is, I am Atma, na I am Atma. That's all. I am Atma. This body is Atma. So that is Atmatvam of the Atma is superimposed. I am not Atma. Let us somebody say, I am not Brahma. That means non-Brahmatvam of the body or the Upadhi is superimposed upon the Atma, and I say, I am not Brahma. And looking upon the Upadhi as the Atma is the Atmatvam of the Upadhi superimposed upon an Atma. This is the Dharmi Adhyasa. Dharmi means the one that possesses Dharma, the Lokas of Dharma, or Artha Adhyasa. Dharma Vishayam Moham Darshayati. And the Moha again, that confusion they're obtaining with reference to Dharma, that is the attributes of Atma and Atma upon each other, is shown Evam Dharma. Evam Dharma, na Evam Dharma. Here Atma this Sandeha. Here Atma is this Dharma, he doesn't have this Dharma. Atma is like this, it is not like that. Tadeva Sphutayati. That Ukta Mohameva Sphutayati. That very moha, the delusion, is being clarified Bhashyakara. Kartayati. Karta, akarta, shuddha, ashuddha, baddha, mukta. So all of this kartrutva, that is dharma. Superimposed with Atma, Atma is taken to be karta. Or all these doubts arise also. Is Atma karta and the agent of action, or akarta is not an agent? Shuddha, ashuddhova. Atma is pure or it is impure. Baddha, muktaha. Atma is bound, Atma is liberated. I don't know if anybody thinks that Atma is Atma bound or liberated, Is it pure or impure? Is it karta or akarta? That is a big thing. For somebody to ask that kind of a question, that this inkling can also arise in one's life, maybe I am a karta, looks like it. That's a big thing. Usually, it is always taken for granted that Atma is karta, and Atma is, ashuddha, and Atma is baddha, and so forth. So, baddho mukta, or all you can say is that people have this kind of conclusions about Atma. That's another way to look at it. So, there are some people who say that Atma is baddha. That means after all the deliberations upon the Atma of the self, they arrive at the conclusion that Atma is bound. And other people arrive at the conclusion Atma is mukta. Somebody says Atma is shuddha. That is all Vedantins. Ashuddha. Other people. When Atma is taken to be a karta, karta, bhokta, etc. So shuddha. Or some people say Atma is karta. Again like Vaisheshikas, Nayayikas, Vedantins and Sankhya say Atma is akarta. Sankhya those say Atma is shuddha. Those people say Atma is ashuddha. Atma is baddha. Most people say, like Mimamsakas and everybody. So they want to liberate the Atma by doing something. Mukta, eva mukta. No, it is always free. Sthitah, gatah, agatosi, all dharma, sthitah, standing, gatah, gone, agatah, has come. Asti, nasti, Atma is. By Atma is meant that there is some truth in this whole universe. Whatever name it is given, whether you give the name Ishvara, somebody gives the name Atma, or you can give any name that you want, but that there is some reality of the truth as essence of the whole universe, of the creation in the life, that in the life that there is some truth. There is something to look forward to. There is a basis of the life. There is some basis. And that's a big thing. Even to say that there is a basis in everything that happens, that there is an order that everything happens, is a big thing. So, saying that Ishvara is there, giving lip service is one thing, but accepting that there is Ishvara, that means there is a basis. That means there is an order. That means there is some justice. There is an ultimate goodness. No, to accept this and to bring that into our life is a big step. Astityavapalabdhavya. And so that will create the total trust in everything. A total trust, that ultimately everything is good, even though it appears to be so wretched outwardly. That trust. Gandhi had that trust, in the ultimate goodness. It's amazing. There is a tremendous trust that ultimately it is good. And that's why you can trust. And when you can trust, then alone you can conduct your vyavahara. When you cannot trust, you cannot do anything. You can't proceed with the life. So trusting. Trusting doesn't mean being stupid. Trusting means he was not stupid at all. He was extremely smart, And so it may look like he dismisses somebody in spite of trusting all. Meaning, in spite of knowing that this is good, this is how the vyavahara is needed, that can be done. So that kind of vivek also he had tremendously, But anyway, but still the basic trust in the goodness. Never rejecting, insulting, hurting, or never wishing ill of anybody. Never doing anything that will bring about, that will hurt anybody. At least from his standpoint. He may do something which may wind up hurting, that's a different matter. But never intention to hurt. Never intention to do ill to anybody, whether they are British also. No intention of doing evil to anybody, or ill of anybody, hurting anybody. He must have, in his own mind, thought that giving liberation or freedom to India is good for British also. He must have thought that way. True. Because they keep on accumulating tremendous papa, and that you can see the result of that. You can see how they have shrunk and they have become such a minor thing in the world. Although we keep giving a lot of importance to Britain and the world also keeps on giving, but really speaking, their condition is quite bad. Anyway, we don't want to connect this law of karma, etc. But the idea is that ultimately the oppressor or the aggressor also gets hurt. He may not know that. So inflicting injury or hurt to somebody is a self-hurting process also. Means it is all round hurting. The one who is hurt also is hurt and hurting. The one who hurts also is hurt. So this is totally wrong thing to do. And therefore it must be stopped. So it must be corrected. Anyway, so never intended ill of anybody. That requires what a heart, So as the other day the professor was saying, talking about Gandhi, he says, who said this? One viceroy said, is it Lord Curzon or somebody said, that I may think, I may have to deliberate, if I have to place my head in the lap of a British man, my fellow man, I will have to think twice. Or I will have to deliberate. But I will have not to think at all if I have to place my head in the lap of Gandhi, he would say, that I can trust him. Even though he's on the other side of the fence, These people are, and they are very hard negotiators, that don't think that anybody would give up even an inch. If you see that process, what an amount of struggle was going on, and how hard it was to extract anything out of them. You pressurized, but moral pressure. It says moral pressure means that invoking that morality from that and creating pressure that way. You don't pressurize outwardly by embarrassing them. But you create in them a sense of, that their own, a sense of guilt, or only a sense of propriety. To invoke from them, for them to feel that what we are doing is not right. To make them feel that what we are doing is, should be changed. This is how, so that's the way to work. Nobody can beat that. If you pressurize from outside, then they will also maneuver and pressurize you. That kind of maneuvering would never have worked with the British, They were extremely smart. So smart that we cannot even imagine. If you see their internal correspondence and things like that, What a tremendous vision they had about how to dominate India and how to extract everything and how to control these people, how to rule them. For that they had all very, uh, they had their own theories about it and they were implementing them. So it would have been very difficult, to dominate them or pressurize them by embarrassing them and saying things by harassing them. You can't go too far. But making them feel internally that what we are doing is not right. Now that is, so this is how it worked. That's how the British Parliament had to do that. The Labour Party had to do that. There are some thick-skinned people like Churchill. You cannot even convert them. Even Gandhiji could not convert some people, even in India also. But he could convert everybody. Tremendous conversion. It is the process of conversion that brought about this whole thing. He could not convert Jinnah and he could not convert many other people also. And it is true. And he felt, he could not convert people of India. Ultimately he felt. When the tremendous violence emerged, at the time of partition, he realized that his whole mission of transforming people, of helping them, not transforming people, but helping them to change, to own up that freedom, that it was not accomplished. That was a failure. Failure means he could not succeed to accomplish that. It's a very long drawn process. 30 years was not enough for that. But anyway, so this is how the Asti means what? That there is ultimately good even in those people who look, they are nothing but less than Asuras actually. The Rakshasas, the Asuras that are there in the Puranas, the British were no less than that. But in there also there is something, the basic goodness is there. And that you can invoke that, So you would have liked Lord Krishna to tell Arjuna to do that, He would have liked Lord Krishna to have taught Arjuna to convert Duryodhana rather than kill Duryodhana. That is what he would have liked. And that way he would accept Lord Gautam Buddha, his ahimsa, non-violence, better than Lord Krishna's pragmatic. But in the later years of his life, he would have recognized how Lord Krishna is very pragmatic, extremely pragmatic. And that there is no way that Duryodhana, there are certain impossible things are there. You just cannot convert them. That alone is called Rakshasa, who is gone beyond irreparable. That means it's, and that is why there is no way to repair them. Anyway, and so that is how Lord Krishna found no way other than taking this way, of having to destroy the evil. But anyway, so Asti means all of this. Asti means that trust in the basic goodness, in the righteousness of the things, in the justice everywhere. And that is why he did not just say that the British were responsible for this. He could realize right away the role that the Indians' participation in the whole process of bondage of India, how Indians had contributed equally, and that's how Indians allowed themselves to be dominated by the British because of what they were. And unless that changes, no point, somebody else will dominate them. He knew that if these fellows go, all that we'll do is just to change people, that's all, change faces. And the people, if they are the same, then no change will happen. That is exactly the case. That unless their own contribution to this process of bondage, unless that is removed, the bondage will only change faces. It will only change the form or the shape, and it will not go. So, what a vision he had. He did not believe in this local freedom, just to the political freedom and stuff like that. He believed in the real freedom. That's the freedom that human beings should have. And that's the freedom that makes you happy. Or the bondage makes you unhappy. This is okay. But anyway, even this was spiritually wrong according to him. That one people dominating and controlling and exploiting other people is spiritually wrong. For everybody concerned, Anyway, whatever it is. So, asti nasti. That nasti is easy. That there is no goodness, Swami, there is no this, that, and that is how, but because that's what it appears to be. So, on the face of it, that doesn't seem to be that. On the face of it, that goodness doesn't seem to be there. Or that justice doesn't seem to be there. And so it is nobody's fault that one may conclude that it is not there, Ishvara is not there. And so many people say Nasti. Ishvara Nasti. Ityadi vikalpehi momuhyate lokaha. With all this kind of vikalpas, with all this kind of confusions, people are intensely deluded. Vikalpehi sarvoloko momuhyate iti sambandha. So all this sandeha is there, all this kind of totally contradictory conclusions are there. In fact, these contradictory conclusions, they appear in same person also. Sometimes I don't think there is anything. Sometimes you feel, Some other times you feel no, everything is okay. How our own mind also. Asti nasti, it goes on like that. Karta karta. Is Ishvara the karta? Is he doing everything? Oh, you wonder. Sometimes you wonder. Sometimes you get convinced. Sometimes everything is fine and sometimes clouds come. So not only that different people get deluded differently, but the same person also gets deluded differently at different times. And so this is how, why is it so? What does it, that means Atma is everywhere. This is how Shankaracharya sees. That when can delusion of Brahma can take place? So all Brahma involves the Adhisthana. So wherever Mithya is there, Satya must be there. Wherever Brahma is there, that must be, Adhisthana must be there. So the conclusion, the delusions are there, that means Ishvara is there, otherwise delusion would not have been. The very presence of delusion demonstrates the presence of Atma. Because Brahma means some reality is there. He thinks there is snake, but some real thing must be there. Otherwise the Brahma delusion of snake cannot take place. So this line of thinking Bhashyakara presents in other places also. Then there is consciousness. While talking to the Bauddhas, arguing with them, you say that the fact that everybody has this delusion which refers to consciousness, that you say that consciousness is not, even that delusion also is because consciousness is. That itself shows. So the various delusions, they show the very presence of the Atma. And self-shining, self-revealing Atma too. So this is how the Saha Samanasan, this much is explained. So Samanasan means identifying with everything. And because of identification, this moha delusion is created that one thing is taken to be another. Like when we get identified with something, somebody. With my child I get identified. Then there is a sympathetic response. If that my boy is unhappy, I become unhappy. And if he is happy, I become happy. So how identification, the mutual superimpositions happen both ways. People think that child, when I say this my child means identification, then I control the child also. I want the child to be in my image. This is another thing. So parents want the children to be in their image. You must become a doctor. You must do this. You must do that. Why? Because he wants to see himself in his child. So this is how that mutual superimposition happens, and that is how the controlling comes. Doesn't look like controlling. He thinks that he loves his child. People think that they love their children. But in the process of love, all kinds of things happen, because you bind them. It's a binding love. You can't give them freedom. That kind of love is that you cannot give freedom. That fellow wants to do a thing, says, no, you can't do that, because you're my son. And therefore you cannot do that. Or you are my son, therefore you must do this. So when this kind of demands are placed upon children, the father may not know that I am saying it because he is my son. These words he may not use. But when he demands that his son or his child should do a given thing, it is because you are my child. You cannot get married to this person. Why? Because you are my child. You cannot enter this house. Don't show me your face. What all this means is what? Mutual, I superimpose myself upon that and himself upon me, and what a process is going on. And so, momuhyate lokaha. They forget that This is my son. He's an independent entity. She's a woman, not wife, as Swamiji would say, So the idiot, she's a woman, not wife. Wife is just a role. So first is woman. But anyway, so this is how people forget the distinction. That is called identification. And understand this happens in our vyavahara, day-to-day vyavahara, common vyavahara, where we forget the identification. Wherever these demands are there, whenever we make demands, that means some identification is there, of some kind or the other. When we control, when we demand that people have to conduct themselves in a certain way, all of these things show some identification. But anyway, so this is a very common, this is a big problem. The reason why I'm saying is the parents and children is a big problem actually. Everywhere it was always there, and it remains today very much. And the psychologists have identified this is a problem. But the basis is identification, that they would say that the son or the child, your child is not a part of you. Khalil Gibran would say, he's not a part of you. He's an independent entity. And therefore you can love him all right, but then don't control him. Don't suffocate him, whatever. Anyway, so what I'm saying, this delusion, this moha, how it's rampant. I mean, it's all pervasive. And so not only gets confined to the body, how it stretches, extends itself to those things connected to the body or connected to ahankara, in whichever way. Anyway, so this is my house, and therefore it must only have a certain thing. You go moment, so when they change, like the White House, the occupant changes there. And so, the new White House occupant, the new president, he will change everything. If not him, at least his wife, she'll change everything. The whole, everything, beginning from the color of the walls to the furniture, everything will be changed. This is my house. It must reflect me, So this cannot have an independent existence. It must always reflect me. It's okay, I mean, the idea is that, so it's part of life. But the thing is, that the tremendous drive to, the need to do that. It's one thing that you change and you make them look better than what they are, whatever it is. You may have a different aesthetic sense, and that's fine. But the need, that it has to, it cannot be like this. How can it be white? It has to be yellow or something like that. That need is what I'm talking about. That is what is identification. And so that without that you're uncomfortable. Unless that kind of a change happens, is made, so you are uncomfortable. The things make you uncomfortable. That is the identification. So anyway, so this is this mumuhyamanaha, mumuhyate. Bhashyakara confines us, of course, only to the fundamental thing. But how our life is full of this, and to the extent that we see, to that extent we'll see, the problems all arise only from this. Whatever problems are there of the interactions of the people, all of those problems have ultimately the root only in this mutual identification. Not even knowing how sad it is that not even knowing, then people just they struggle and they get they get hurt. So samanasan, that part is explained. So that is the process of identification. What identification does? So ubhau loko, what it does, Shruti also says what it does. Ubhau loko anusancharati. So saha samanasam iti yasya arthamuktva avashishtam bhagam vyakaroti. What does it do? Saha samanasan, becoming equal. Ubhau loko anusancharati. That is avashishtam bhagam. That is whole vakya. Sasamanasan ubhau loko anusancharati. Of that whole vakya, saha samanasan, that part is explained. Idasyartha muktva avashishtam bhagam vyakaroti. Avashishta, the remaining part of that sentence, is explained ataha ityadina. Says Bhashyakara. Ataha samanasan ubhau loko प्रतिपन्न प्रतिपत्तव्यो यह लोक परलोकौ उपात्त देहेन्द्रियादि संघात त्याग अन्योपादान संतान प्रबंध शतसन्निपातैः अनुक्रमेण संचरते धीसादृश्यमेव उभयलोक संचरण हेतुः न स्वतः इति अतः therefore अतः means what? Avidyaka bhrantivashat. Because of bhranti, that is the product of avidya. Because of that, samana san, identifying with, that's now we can say identifying with, ubhau loko anusancharati, kramena anukramena anusancharati, anukramena sancharati. So alternately he moves between the two worlds, from here to there and there to here. What is ubhau loko? Both the worlds. Bhashyakara says pratipanna pratipattavya. Footnote number 6. Prapta praptavya. Pratipanna means prapta, that which has been attained. Pratipattavya, which has to be attained. Praptavya. So world in which we are, this world, and pratipattavya, like Swarga, etc., which is what I wish to acquire. So world that has already been acquired, and the world that is to be acquired. So pratipattavya, pratipanna, pratipattavya. And also this world also means the waking state. That means this identification with this body and therefore the waking state, and pratipattavya, the dream state, giving up the identification and going to the other world. That also. Ihaloka paraloka, this world and the other world, the earth and the heavens. उपात्त देहेन्द्रियादि संघात त्याग अन्योपादान उपात्त footnote number 7 क्रम संचरणमेव प्रपंचयति. How this alternate movement is there, that is what Bhashyakara details. उपात्त इत्यादिना शतेषु सन्निपातः पतनानि तैः. Okay. So upatta dehendriyadi sanghata, one has acquired this dehendriyadi sanghata, this upadhi of the nature of the body, sense organs, mind, one is acquired. Tasya tyaga, one gives up that. So at the time of death, one gives up this upadhi. Why he gives up? Because he wants to go to other world. Or at the time of going to sleep also, one gives up this dehendriyadi sanghata to acquire another one in the dream. So tyaga anya upadana. So either one acquires a body which is conducive to living in the heavens, giving up this body or this complex conducive for the earth, or giving up the identification with this body, etc., which is good for waking. And again, for any kind of an experience, one requires a body of some kind. So a dream experience is also one requires a body appropriate to dream. That's the reason why altogether a new body is created in the dream. The whole complex, the sense organs, body, all that complex is created for the dream to gain those experiences. So upatta means acquired. Upatta dehendriyadi sanghata tyaga anya upadanam again. So upatta is nothing but the past participle. Upadana means again acquiring. Santana means of series. Anukrama, alternatively. Not that it stops somewhere, it goes on. Giving up one, taking up another one. Giving up that, taking up another one. Santana prabandha shata sannipadehi. So, Santana prabandha shatani. So all these Santana prabandha shata. Prabandha shata means this whole process, the whole process which takes place hundreds of times, countless times, he keeps on giving up and acquiring. Sannipadehi. Sannipaha patanani taihi. So one falls into this whole process of countlessly giving up the bodies and acquiring new bodies. This process is going on, so countless times. One has fallen into this. You can say that one has fallen into this whole pravaha. Prabandha also means pravaha. So one has fallen into this flow of again and again acquiring and again giving up these upadhis. So Shata Sannipatahi Anukramena Sancharati, and thus alternatively keeps on moving from one world to the other. Dhisadrishya, footnote number 8. Avasa dhi tadatmameva. Dhisadrishyameva. Avasa means Chidavasa. Through the agency of reflected consciousness, that the Atma has acquired the likeness of the Buddhi. Actually, Chidavasa acquires the likeness of the Buddhi. But through the agency of Chidavasa, Atma acquires the likeness of the Buddhi. So, through the agency of the likeness of the Buddhi, Dhisadrishyameva Ubhaya Loka Sancharana Hetuhu. It is not that the Atma really goes from one world to the other or does any kind of a thing, but the Chidavasa does. So Chidavasa gets identified, reflected consciousness gets identified with the mind and goes where the mind goes. That's all. Like children, catching hold of a truck. Because the truck is he's on the cycle and this fellow catches hold of the truck so that he doesn't have to paddle. And then the truck starts moving faster. This fellow cannot give up. Similarly also the mind, so the Chidavasa is a truck with the mind, stuck with the mind. And therefore wherever the mind goes, Chidavasa goes. And it is due to ignorance that the Chidavasa is taken to be Atma. Otherwise that's okay. Experience is alright. Because of ignorance, Chidavasa is taken to be Atma, and that is how one feels that I am dreaming and I am waking and so forth. So Bhashyakara wants to make it very clear. Dhisadrishyameva Ubhaya Loka Sancharana Hetuhu. It is only the likeness of the Buddhi that is the Hetu, the cause or the reason for movement from one world to the other. Na swataha iti. Swataha sancharanam praticayati sheshaha. Na swataha praticaya sancharanam. Don't think that the Atma actually travels from one world to the other. It is only the sadrushya, similarity, the likeness that has been attained because of the ignorance. Anandagiri says, Atmanah Swabhavikam Ubhayaloka Sancharanamidi. Swabhavikam Ubhayaloka Sancharanam. Somebody says, why do you say that? Why not Atma really dreams? Why not Atma really travels from the waking to the dream? Or Atma really transmigrates, from one body to the other, or travels from the heavens to the earth, earth to the heavens, and so forth. So why not? So why not that this movement or this transference or transmigration is really there for the Atma? Why not? Atmanah Ubhayaloka Sancharam Swabhavikam. That it is really so. Iti Ashankya Anantara Vakyam Adatte. The Anantara Vakyam. What is Anantaram Vakyam? Dhyayativa, Lelayativa. So that Vakya makes it very clear. This Ubhayaloka Sancharanam is not real. That Dhyayati Iva, that's all. So Bhashyakara says, the reason why Shruti uses the word Iva is to clear this doubt that maybe the transmigration of the Atma is real. That maybe Atma is really born, Atma really dies, or Atma really transmigrates, gives up one body and so forth. That all of these really happens to Atma. To clarify the doubt, Shruti says, Dhyayati Iva. That is how Bhashyakara sees the use of the word Iva, As to what is that Shruti intends by use of the word Iva, is that Shruti intends to clear this doubt. That somebody may feel that the transmigration may be real. Iti Ashankya Anantaram Vakyam Adatte. The Anantaram Vakya, Dhyayati Iva Lelayati, is a reply to this. This is how Bhashyakara explains that Vakya. Tatra iti. Tatra Nama Rupopadhi Sadrishyam Bhranti Nimittam Yata Tadeva Hetuhu Nasvataha Ityetaduchyate. Tatra Atma Saptamyasaha. Tatra Atmani. In Atma Nama Rupa Upadhi Sadrishyam Bhranti Nimittam Yat. That in the Atma, all the Sadrushya, the likeness of the name and form is all due to Bhranti. Tadeva Hetuhu. That alone is a Hetu. sancharane hetu. So that is the reason why the Atma, that Bhranti, so that likeness that the Atma has to the Upadhi is only due to Bhranti, and that Bhranti alone is a hetu or reason for sancharanam, for the movement from one world to the other. Nasvataha sancharanam, that Atma really doesn't transmigrate or travel from one world to the other. इति एतदुच्यते. Footnote 12. ध्यायतीव इत्यादि वाक्येन इति शेषः. So a subsequent sentence, ध्यायतीव leelayativa, is the sentence that is meant to say that the sancharanam is bhranti nimittam. Sancharanam, the travel, is only due to bhranti and not in reality. Okay. Bhashya. Page 1016. Yasmat सह समानस्सन् उभौ लोकौ अनुक्रमेण संचरति तदेतत् प्रत्यक्षम् इत्येतत् दर्शयति. यस्मात्, footnote number 1, अनेन एतद् उच्यते इति कुतः? What makes you say that the Shruti's statement dhyayativa lelayativa is a reply or is meant to clear this doubt that Atma may really movement may be real in the Atma? So anena etaduchyate, said that why this vakya dhyayativa lelayativa, that this is being said, iti kutaha? How do you say that? Tatraha yasmat, because yasmat saha samanasan ubho loko anukramena sanjarati. Since acquiring the likeness of the buddhi, he travels from one world to the other alternatively. Tadetat pratyaksham. Tadetat, acha, yasmad etat darshayati iti anvayah. Okay. Yasmad shruti etat darshayati. So yasmad darshayati shruti. Tat means samana vakyoktam etat aswabhavikam sancharanam pratyaksham. Tadetat, footnote number 2. That means what? Sa samano bhut sa so samanasan, then vakyoktam. Tad etad aswabhavikam sancharanam samanasan ubho lokau anusancharati. So that sancharanam is aswabhavikam. Sancharanam is not swabhavikam, not something that is inherent of the Atma. It is a bhranti. That this sancharanam is a bhranti. Pratyaksham, that is something that is a matter of pratyaksha, something that is very clear or matter of experience of everybody. Iti etad darshayati. So Shruti shows that how this is a matter of experience to everybody. Etad darshayati. So etad vakyam darshayati. Etad vakyam. Dhyayativa lelayativa iti vakyam tad etad tad darshayati. As to how this bhranti is something that is a matter of experience. Not only that the sancharanam, that one goes to that one feels that one is a dreamer, or that one thing that one transmigrates, that all the transmigration or the movement from one world to the other, that is a bhranti, because this kind of bhranti is a matter of experience. That's why that is also a bhranti. That the ubho lokau anusancharati, that anusancharam is bhranti. Why? Because similar bhranti is a matter of experience. Therefore, Shruti actually now points to the bhranti that obtains in our common life, that how identification brings about the bhranti, as to how the dharma of the upadhi or nam-rupa superimposed upon the Atma and vice versa, that this kind of bhranti is a matter of day-to-day experience. That's what Shruti shows. Thereby showing that even the movement from the waking to the dream and whatever is also a bhranti. So tadetat pratyaksham iti etat darshayat. That this kind of bhranti arising from identification is something that is common. That's what Shruti says yataha iti. यतः ध्यायति इव ध्यान व्यापारम करोति इव चिंतयति इव ध्यान व्यापारवतीं बुद्धिं सह तत्स्थेन चित्स्वभावज्योतिरूपेण अवभासयन् तत्सदृशः तत्समानः सन् ध्यायतीव आलोकवदेव. So this yasmad is because Shruti says this, therefore we say that this vakya is an answer to this doubt. And etat pratyaksham, that this is something common. How do we say this? Yatah dhyayativa. So one thing that one thinks, he as though thinks, what? Atma as though thinks. Dhyana vyaparang karodiva. Like the Atma performs the function of thinking. Chintayati. So what is dhyanam here? Is meditating or chintayati? That's all. Chintayati. Thinks as though. So yatah shabdah vakshmana atah shabdena sambadhyate. Atah bhavati chintayati bhranti lokasya. So that yatah gets connected with that atah. So yatah dhyayativa dhyana vyaparam karotiva. Atma as though thinks. Chintayati as though deliberates, meditates. Dhyana vyaparavatim buddhim saha. So that is aksharottham arthamuktva vakyarthamaha. Aksharottham artha means artha that is derived from the actual word. Dhyayativa means dhyana vyaparam karotiva, chintayativa. So vakyartham, what is meant by the vakya? Dhyayativa lilayativa, dhyana vyaparavatim buddhim saha atma. That atma, tatsthena. This atma, now tatsthena means what? Tadvyaptena. The chidabhasa of the atma, that pervades the buddhi. That's how Atma is present in the buddhi. It's present otherwise also, but then as an illuminator, Atma pervades the buddhi. Or as Chidabhasa, Atma is present in the buddhi. Tatsthena. Chit Svabhava Jyoti Rupena. So his nature being Chit Svabhava, Jyoti, that's all. So that self-effulgent consciousness, which is the nature of the self, so as illuminator, Atma is present where the buddhi is. So as the illuminator, light is present where the illuminator